From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your evening update.
Kent's Meats and Grocery is much more than a grocery store. We carry a full line of quality meats, local and organic vegetables, and a large variety of fish, Green Mountain Smart Control pellet grills, and a full deli case of sandwiches and side dishes.
Well, as some of you may or may not know, Kent, about a week ago, passed peacefully in his home in Cottonwood a little over a week ago. First and foremost, I would like to express my deepest sympathies to his friends and family during this very difficult time. You know, Kent was a staple in our society. For as long as I've been here in the North State, Kent's Meats and Groceries was there. And just an amazing local business that was all about the local community. You know, Kent was one of those who was a great success, and he shared that success by sponsoring and giving back to the community. And he will be sorely missed. But of course, his memory will always live on, right? Now, I think back to when I first met Kent, really for the first time, and it was right before I launched Weather NorCal. I went to the store, I asked if Kent was around, and I went through the deli and his back office. Now, you go into the office, and I meet him for the first time. I'd probably seen him around the community here and there, but we formally introduced each other, got to know each other, and of course he knew who I was from my weatherman days at the local TV station. And I noticed he had papers all over his desk. He was just, the first thing I saw, he was just deep in work. People coming and going, giving him receipts. But one thing that I thought was amazing is that he stopped everything he was doing. Despite the fact that he had a ton to do, he stopped everything he was doing and focused all of his attention on me. And I couldn't be more grateful for that. So I told him what I was doing with Weather NorCal before it even launched. And sure, he had some hesitation. And one of the things he said is, "Can you give me some kind of deal?" And I did. And I got to tell you, he's been sponsoring, Kent's Meats and Groceries has been sponsoring me since day one. Has been sponsoring Weather NorCal since day one. And it's through his sponsorship, along with others that were early supporters, that are key to the survival of Weather NorCal, especially in the early days. Because without that funding, I don't think Weather NorCal could have made it through. So I want to thank Kent from the bottom of my heart for having faith in Weather NorCal and having faith in me and what I'm doing here. So again, my deepest sympathies go out to Kent and his family. He will be sorely missed, but not forgotten. Now, if you want to check out and go out to his life celebration, it's going to be Saturday morning, October 5th at 11 a.m. at the Fursaro Hall at the Shasta District Fairgrounds. All right. Thanks again, Kent. All right, let's get you to your Kruger's Quickcast for this evening. And you know, we're going to be looking at those temperatures dropping again tonight. You can see we're dropping down into the low 60s for most of us, maybe a little bit more mild down towards Chico and Oroville. We're talking 40s and 50s for the higher elevations, and in the low 50s out along the coast. So, heading out the door tomorrow morning for your September 25th, yeah, another cool start to the day. And it's actually not going to be as hot tomorrow. But there's also going to be the return of the fog along the coast coming in late tonight and early tomorrow morning. So let's take a look at Futurecast. And you can see tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., there's the fog making its way back to the coast. But you'll also notice, what's this? Yeah, a little bit of rainfall. But that will probably break apart before hitting the coast. But there could be some drizzle, a passing light shower, or a sprinkle really, for Del Norte, Siskiyou, and even Modoc County as we go through the day, kind of pushing from west to east. But overall, it's not enough to really cancel any outdoor plans. It's not enough for you to say, all right, I'm going to have to postpone something I have to do outside, because it won't have that much of an impact, if anything at all. But another thing you'll notice is a little bit more cloud cover over Northern California in general, and that will contribute to the cooler temperatures. But for tomorrow night and into even Thursday morning, we still have some of that fog out along the coast. All right, so here's what we have as we go into your Wednesday. Those temperatures are going to be in the low 90s for the valley. So it is going to be cooler out there. Temperatures mainly in the 80s for the higher elevations, even mid to upper 80s for Trinity County. Low to mid 80s for the inland areas, but those low 60s out along the coast. And we take a look at that 7-day outlook for the valley, and temperatures are going to start to increase again after tomorrow. In fact, maybe even upwards of upper 90s, about 100 degrees by Friday, and then we'll kind of level out for Saturday through Tuesday with highs in the mid to upper 90s, kind of going up and down with those temperatures. For the coast, all the way through next Tuesday, low to mid 60s for those daytime highs. Inland and for Trinity County, still seeing temperatures just kind of going up and down and leveling out as we go through the weekend and even into early next week. All right, that's your quick cast. Let's take a look at our deeper dive forecast. So it was another hot day today, but we're going to watch those temperatures drop. Should see a nice dip here for tomorrow. Temperatures keep going up and down with no major heat waves and unfortunately no rain really in the long range either. Now we look at the winds here for tomorrow. They're going to be a little gusty, especially off in the eastern mountains and off into the valley as well. That will most likely elevate that fire weather risk, but then they should die down going into your Thursday afternoon. So we look at the humidity levels going into Wednesday. Okay, sure, we're back into the teens, but keep in mind, when you have humidity levels in the teens, that's still very dry. So that's something we need to take into account when we're talking about that fire weather risk, because on Thursday, the winds die down, but it's still going to be rather dry out there. So we take a look at the fire weather risk here, combining the heat, combining the winds and that lower humidity. And you can see, especially in the valley, we do have the moderate to high. Now you're more in that moderate range in the eastern mountains. As we go into Thursday, you're not going to see much of a spike. Again, because the winds are dying down, that is going to be a contributing factor to the lower fire weather risk, but still at least in the moderate range. So again, we showed you Futurecast a little bit earlier. We could see a sprinkle or a light passing shower brief for Del Norte, Siskiyou, and Modoc County through the day tomorrow, but mainly just some clouds and cooler temperatures going through the day on Wednesday. Then Thursday morning, still some fog along the coast that will most likely burn off by the time we go through the afternoon hours. Otherwise, sunny skies and, of course, those warmer temperatures for Thursday for the rest of us. Drier than normal conditions as predicted by the Climate Prediction Center. We have the ridge of high pressure that's over us now. That's shifting eastward thanks to this trough of low pressure moving in tomorrow. Now, it's going to be to our north. This is just going to clip Northern California. That's why we expect to see the potential for a sprinkle or a passing brief sprinkle, really, for Del Norte, Siskiyou, and Modoc counties tomorrow afternoon. But overall, the main impact will be the cooler temperatures for us and those winds picking up as I was showing you here for Wednesday. That moves on out. High pressure builds back in, weaker, but still hot, possibly upwards of 100 degrees in the valley by Friday. Another system passes to our north, not as strong and more to our north, but it will allow our temperatures to drop slightly for the second half of the weekend. Another ridge of high pressure builds in Monday, getting hotter again Monday, Tuesday. This, though, I've got my eyes on for the end of next week. This is going to be stronger and could bring us a significant drop in the temperatures by the end of next week. But overall, the long range is still looking at above normal temperatures in that long range by the Climate Prediction Center. But remember, I was talking about that potential for a big drop in our temperatures. So again, we're going back up on Friday to 100 degrees. Kind of leveling out in the mid to upper 90s here through Tuesday, right? Just that little mini roller coaster where I see it's kind of going up and down. But then look at that big drop by the end of next week. That's that cooler air that'll move in. Now, one would also think, okay, maybe some showers associated with that, but that doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Looks to remain fairly dry with that cooling trend toward the end of next week. There you can see your wave heights. They're going to remain fairly status quo. Not a whole lot going on with those wave heights. It looks like Thursday, they may drop slightly, but not by a whole lot. All right, let's go and take a look at forecast for tonight. We're talking temperatures again in the low to mid 60s for the valley, mainly 40s and 50s for the higher elevations, and we've got those low 50s for the coast. All right, so your Trinity County, that is, neighborhood forecast. Temperatures upper 80s to about 90. See the drop? It goes back up, though, by Friday, Saturday, and then kind of leveling out going into early next week. For central and southern Humboldt County, 68 for Blue Lake, 85 for Alder Point, and we're talking 86 degrees for Garberville and Chillicothe Cove, about 66 degrees. Up north, maybe a passing sprinkle out towards Del Norte County, otherwise dry for the rest of us. 77 degrees for Gas Key. You can see about 85 for Orleans, so quite a drop in our temperatures here for tomorrow. Siskiyou County, maybe a passing sprinkle, but otherwise mainly dry under partly to mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures in the low to mid 80s, although in the 70s off to the north and to the east. Off into Modoc County, maybe a passing sprinkle, probably mid to late afternoon, otherwise fairly dry. 80 degrees for Aden, 78 degrees for Cooley Lake, and it looks like about 83 degrees in Eagleville. Let's take you into the eastern mountains where we'll be looking at dry conditions for tomorrow, but cooler. 75 degrees in Viola, 84 for Westwood, and looks like Paradise a high of about 85 degrees. And your valley neighborhood forecast to the south around 90 degrees. That's certainly cooler than the upper 90s and even triple digits. Would take you up to the north, about 91 for Redding, 90 for the city of Shasta Lake, 91 Palo Cedro, and Lakehead, as well as Whiskeytown, about 86 degrees. So let's take a look at that 7-day outlook for Redding. You've got those temperatures back up to possibly 100 degrees by Friday again. Can you believe that? And then temperatures leveling out in the mid to upper 90s from Saturday through Tuesday of next week. That's your evening update. I'll be back tomorrow morning on Coffee with Kruger at 7 a.m. and of course your update a little bit earlier than that at 6 a.m. Have a great night.
We're the locals down the street. The neighbor you come to for advice. A nest egg for the golden years. A loan or a new account for that growing business. What started in Chico 50 years ago has taken us all around California, providing big bank lending power and high-tech service while keeping our relationships personal. We're still the locals down the street, no matter where your street might be. Tri-Counties Bank, California's local bank.